Hello, I'm Sheila, a qualified counsellor, a comedian and a survivor of mental ill health. During this difficult time, it's very important that we look after our mental health. So I've produced this online show on anxiety, coronavirus special. And this is, ways that we can learn to look after, how we can manage our minds and look after our mental well-being. So folks, if you find this useful, then I really encourage you to share this around so we can continue to help each other. And I'd also invite you that if there's other stuff that you're aware of that you found helpful, that others might feel helpful too, please, if you can add those ideas to the comments, it'd be fantastic. First of all, folks, if you've lost a loved one through the coronavirus, then my heart absolutely goes out to you. This may feel like a double whammy for you actually, because ironically the different stages of grief is actually very similar to what a lot of people are going through now. All of us are experiencing loss at this time. So it might be a loss of a job, it might be a loss of income, it might be a loss of our lifestyle at the moment. And this can bring up different stages. So for example, we may have the initial stage of shock and denial, thinking, is this really happening? Other stages like anger, why is this happening? This isn't fair. We might have other stages like bargaining, I'll do anything to make this better. Then we may go through stages of depression, where we feel an overwhelming sense of sadness, loneliness, feelings of isolation. And then we may go through stages of acceptance, where we just think, you know what, it is what it is. If you have lost a loved one, you can ask yourself, what would my loved one want from me now? And I'm guessing that they'd want you to live. They'd want you to make the best out of this situation and to be as happy as you can be. So folks, for all of us, I encourage us to remember that whatever stage you're at in this process, to accept that it's okay not to be okay. I really encourage that, folks. That we're not robots and we're going to go through different stages of this process. It really is okay not to be okay. Folks, I also want to say, and I know I speak for so many people here, a massive thank you to our NHS. Amazing. A big thank you to all the health systems in the world for the amazing work that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On a grounded level, we need to look after our mental health and help ourselves on a day-to-day basis. The first thing I'm going to encourage you to focus on is your breathing. Now, if your breathing is not restricted at the moment, then I encourage you to give what's known as rectangular breathing a go. Now, as well as that, before we do this technique, folks, is that there's a way of scaling it. So I want to share with you a scaling technique. And what you do is, before you try any kind of a technique or exercise, especially if it's to do with helping you with anxiety, so you can ask yourself from a scale of 1 to 10, where is my anxiety at? Is that an 8 or a 9, really heightened? And then you can do the exercise, and then after the exercise you can ask yourself, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, where's my anxiety now? And if the level is dropped, then you know then that this exercise works for you. So again, it's a scaling technique and it's used to monitor whether something is helpful or unhelpful for you. Vodka is very good for you during this difficult time. So rectangular breathing, so you can use your hand. So imagine your hand is like a rectangle. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for the count of 4 and breathe out for the count of 5. So we breathe in for the count of 4, we pause for the count of 2, and then we breathe out for the count of 5. So it goes like this. So again, we're breathing in for the count of 4, pause for 2, breathe out for the count of 5, pause for 2, breathe in for 4, Pause for 2 and breathe out for 5. And what you're doing here, folks, is you're regulating your breathing, you're slowing down your heartbeat. So this should hopefully help you to remain calm. Again, scale it from 1 to 10. Ask yourself from 1 to 10, is my anxiety any different? And if it's come down from an 8 back down to a 6, we'll say, then you know that this sort of exercise works for you. So folks, there's lots of other breathing exercises that you can find online, YouTube, stuff like that. If you want to know more breathing exercises that I do and offer, then please feel free to get in contact with me. Just want to share this one for this video. Okay folks, continuing on then. So awareness is so important during this time. We can become aware of our own anxiety and high stress levels. We can notice the triggers. Is it watching the news too often? Is it speaking to friends about the current situation too much? Notice different things like this, folks. We can then take the responsibility to look after ourselves. We can make decisions about what we can do to limit the amount of stress and anxiety. So thinking about what makes you feel good, like what sort of activities make you lose track of time and have fun. Is it reading? Is it exercise? Dare I say, is it sex? Woo! Whatever it is, it's important that you take control of your own well-being and you manage your stress levels so that they don't manage you. Another thing we can do is become aware of the language that we use to describe the situation. Think about, is it helpful or is it unhelpful? Am I doing what is known as catastrophizing and saying it's the end of the world and causing more anxiety? Almost sending yourself into analysis paralysis, because that can happen, folks. Sometimes the anxiety just gets too much. Or what you can do is you can pull back and you can say things, do you know what? I'm just going to take it day by day. Or you might say, I'm just going to take it step by step. Hour by hour, whatever suits you, folks. Break it down into smaller chunks, smaller chunks of time, folks. So remember that you can choose how you see the situation. So if we were to think about other ways that this situation can be viewed, what you can do is you can ask yourself, how would I explain this situation to a 5-year-old? Have a think about that, folks. I really encourage you to think about that question. How would I explain the situation to a 5-year-old? Because I'm guessing that you would try to remain calm so that your response doesn't freak the child out. I'm guessing you would explain it in a simple way, so you would simplify it as much as you can to make it understandable for that young person. And that you would add some hope and some reassurance along the way. Think about what you would say, and I encourage you to use those same words to say that to yourself. I'm an adult here, but I also have that inner child inside me, the same as all the adults out there. And sometimes, especially when we go into episodes of anxiety, we can feel very young in our age, depending on what we've experienced in our own lives to do with anxiety. Sometimes it's not just about reassuring us as an adult, sometimes it's about reassuring our inner child as well, folks. And I know for any of you who have been through therapy, I will probably know what I'm talking about here. Okay. Think about how you might use that same language to reassure yourself. You may have already had to explain this to a 5-year-old, and I invite you to share what you said to that 5-year-old or that young person, as it may help other people too. So you can see the situation differently between stuck indoors or actually having more time for you, your family, and also saving lives, because that's what we're doing. Did I mention vodka is very good? See, you can't tell the difference whether I'm drinking vodka or not. Okay, folks. So managing our thoughts, it's so important at this time. So what I've done, folks, is that I have developed what's known as a daily thoughts tracker, and I have currently put this on my website. So my website is mindmanagementforyou.com, and when you go onto the homepage on the right hand side, you can download a free copy of Managing Your Thoughts Daily Tracker, and I'm going to go through with you how this can help you. So for example, okay, so you've got your Manage Your Thoughts Daily Tracker, and you have dating situations. So something might have happened, you might have watched a lot of the news, and this might be spiraling your thoughts out of control, and one of your thoughts might be, I won't be able to cope. So we'll just use that as an example. So let's imagine that a negative thought is, I won't be able to cope. And then the question asks from, how do I feel from 1 to 10? So again, you're scaling this. So you're thinking about this negative thought, you're thinking about, just kind of exploring this thought. And then first of all, you're becoming aware of how this thought is impacting on you. So you ask yourself, how do I feel from 1 to 10, fearing the worst? And you might think, wow, if I'm thinking I won't be able to cope, I might be thinking 8 or 9, really not coping. Then you can ask yourself different questions. Now, some of these questions may be useful for you. Feel free to change them and to alter them, to put in questions that are relevant for you and your thoughts at that time. So if we're looking at, I won't be able to cope, this next question asks, am I blaming myself for things that are out of my control? Well, yeah, because a lot of this situation is out of our control. Is there any evidence to suggest that my negative thought is not true now? Well, actually, that would encourage you to think about, were there other times in your life when you felt that you weren't able to cope? And actually, did you manage to find a way through? Did you get through it? And there'll be a lot of, situations and experiences just to remind yourself that actually you have coped in other situations. Will this thought matter in 5 years' time? I mean, like other things that we've had, swine flu and other sort of viruses, things like that, that hopefully in 5 years' time that this will be under control, and that, we'll be worried about some other stuff going on. So I suppose when we look back in this in 5 years ahead, hopefully that thought of, I won't be able to cope, well, will it matter? No, because obviously you've coped. So sometimes when we can think ahead, it can again just create that lovely, perspective, and just kind of remind us that life will go on, that this is a temporary situation. If the negative thought is true, what can I do about it? So this is thinking, okay, so if let's say that you imagine I won't be able to cope, and let's say you really believe that this is true, and you ask yourself, okay, what can I do about it? Well, what you can do is you can talk to a friend about your thoughts, about your worries, about your concerns. You can talk to a professional like myself or other counsellors and work through exactly what's behind I won't be able to cope, to break that down. What is that exactly, so it doesn't feel so overwhelming, and it puts you in a position where, yeah, okay, when I break this down, actually, if I take this step by step. Folks, I have to laugh because my cat is trying to come in to my office cabin. I'll just ignore her for the moment and keep going, but she is quite persistent. Okay, then this question, folks, as a counsellor, this is something I come across so many times. Am I being too hard on myself? Yeah, absolutely. And if so, why? That we're all in this together, folks. There's a lot of this that is out of our control. We've never been in a situation like this before, so we're learning how to cope as we go along. Well, okay, if my friend or someone I loved had this thought, what would I tell them? So this again is offering you to look at this situation differently. So to imagine your friend was saying, you know what, I don't think I'll be able to cope. Think about what you'd be highlighting to them. And that's what this is about. It's about putting things into perspective and just learning how to reassure yourself, folks. Then it asks, what can I choose to think now that puts my negative thought into perspective? So you might decide, do you know what, I'll deal with it as it comes. And then it says here to read through your answers a few times, and in rethinking your negative thought, how do I feel from 1 to 10? So again, you're scaling it. And like everything, folks, it's practice with this, is that the more you kind of challenge that thought, so rather just believing that thought is fact, You know, a lot of times it's an opinion, and actually sometimes we kind of don't give ourselves enough credit. So, and again, this is all about practice, folks. So it is about kind of going through it and just practicing this, and especially if you're the sort of person where the glass is always half empty, you know, that it is about practice and just challenging those thoughts. The other thing that I would say as well is that with this, and obviously having been through depression, that, you know, that for some people you'll be able to apply this and be able to reframe your thoughts. But for those of you that, you know, are going through a depression, sometimes it's almost impossible to apply this because the depression can be too full on. And as well as that, sometimes behind depression we have what's known as self-sabotage going on. So it may feel just too difficult for something like this to work, and that's okay, you know, that's where you're at. And that's why I would recommend then, you know, speaking to a counsellor, you know, voluntary counsellors, private counsellors like myself, just kind of to get that help with the deep-rooted stuff, so that kind of gets you in a position where you can apply stuff like this and reframe your thinking. Folks, in thinking about control, so, you know, we control what we focus on, and we can control what we think and how we respond to what was going on. So, for example, we think of control, we can control the amount of times we watch the news during the day. We can decide to just watch the news once a day if that's what's helpful for you. You know, and in that news, you can choose to watch a news that gives you a balanced report. So news that, yes, you know, share, you know, the unfortunate stuff that's happening in the world and all that kind of doom and gloom side of things. I don't mean to play that down when I say that. And also have other news that offer some positives as well. And if the news doesn't, then looking at social media or the internet to find stories, you know, that are positive and just give you that sense of hope. Because hope is so important during this time. Folks, you can manage the time that you spend on social media. And, you know, you can turn off your phone for short periods of time. You can turn off the internet on your phone so that you're not on high alert every time the phone pings. I mean, I can tell you something, folks, even before all of this, you know, people's anxieties were getting out of hand anyway because of the notifications on their phone. You know, we can turn off those notifications. So again, it's becoming aware, folks, that we've a lot more choice and power than we actually realise. The phone doesn't control you. You can control the phone. So just really notice what's helpful and what's unhelpful in just looking after your own anxiety. The other thing, folks, is routine and structure. Routine and structure give us a feeling of control because we're consciously choosing how we want our day to be instead of just letting it happen. So, you know, we need to recognise that this is a new norm, you know, that it may feel like a juggling act trying to sort out work, family, life balance. Absolutely, folks. But what you can do is you can build a family schedule to help everyone stay positive, active and engaged. The key is to include everyone in making the schedule so they feel part of it and they also feel a sense of responsibility towards it. I mean, look, you might decide as a family that one day one member of the family decides what you're going to do on that day, and then you might decide another day that another member of the family, you know, it just gives them that control. And it also means that you're allowing them to come up with different ideas for you as a family. And okay, that might scare you giving that control away, but actually you might surprise yourself. And, you know, a lot of times there can be a lot of appreciation for having that control and just trying different things. You know, it's all about being inclusive so everybody's in a win-win situation, and of course not taking advantage of that control. You know, if it's you as an individual, you may decide to write a list of all the things you want to achieve, you know, in your day, or make a list, you know, for the following day, and then tick off different things on that list, because, you know, for a lot of people that can create a real sense of satisfaction. What I would say to you is to make sure to make that list, you know, achievable. So make it easy and achievable. Folks, one of the main emotions behind anxiety is fear, you know. And if your worst fear is the fear of dying, then you can choose your attitude towards this. Like I heard a neighbour of mine saying, well, when your number's up, your number's up. I mean, what a way of looking at that, you know, that sometimes, you know, the fear of dying, when we don't talk about it, it kind of makes the fear bigger than what the fear actually is. So it is important, you know, to explore those thoughts and to explore those fears, because when we explore it and we bring it out in the open, sometimes then it just lessens down that fear, you know. Like, I know for myself that, for those of you that know me, I live by the motto, life is too serious to be taken seriously, besides no one gets out alive anyway. And there's something about that motto for me that it just embraces, accepts, it just acknowledges that, yeah, that one day, do you know what, we won't be here. And that I've accepted that as a part of life. But actually, what I am going to do is not worry too much about that and enjoy making the most out of the moment. And you know, at the end of the day, folks, that's all we really have, is this very moment. So it's again recognising that we've got this massive power, our mindsets, to think about how we look at things. You know, that we've a lot more power than we realise, folks. And with that comes acceptance. And you know, when I think about acceptance, like we go back to those different stages that I mentioned at the start of the show, for me, every time, it's got to be the serenity prayer. And you know, for you, you can tailor that to be about God or the universe, or whatever you want, whatever matters to you, folks. And literally saying the serenity prayer, like, to grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, I mean, this is one of my affirmations that I say every day. I say I accept the things I cannot change. So you can imagine, you know, the mixture of that, you know, when, as regards myself looking after my own mind, you can imagine me when I'm saying things like that, you know, I accept things I cannot change, you know, I'll deal with it as it comes. You know, can you just like feel the pressure coming off you and going, do you know what, it is what it is, and just take it step by step. And I have a few podcasts along the way. Folks, humour is such a massive coping mechanism. Humour is I don't know if you've ever noticed this yourself, that people who work in the most extreme jobs, like ambulance drivers and stuff like that, a lot of times that they have got a really dark sense of humour, and not because of disrespect for what's going on. Oh no, it's because it's a coping mechanism, and rightly so, folks. Sharing funny jokes, songs and stories. I mean, the internet is full of them at the moment. Social media, you know, jokes like when people say, you know, I used to cough to hide my farts. Now I fart to hide my cough. You know, like, it's just like fantastic. I mean, for me, I certainly miss doing my gigs at the moment. But I'm just so enjoying seeing the, you know, the humour that's out there and being spread to each other, and you know, like, just to let you know, folks, that for me and humour, that I've got some funny stuff on my YouTube channel. So my YouTube channel is Sheila's YouTube channel. And on there I've got like a spoof, a James Bond spoof, a couple of minutes long. I also have a video of myself as Sister Mary taken to the skies in Turkey, and believe you me, I was terrified. And it's a video of Sister Mary watching Sister Mary do that, and it's a bit of a laugh, folks. So please feel free, you know, to go onto my YouTube channel, and please subscribe. You know, let's connect, folks, if I haven't connected with you already. And that leads me nicely talking about connection. Connection is so important during this time, like, especially when we can't see each other face to face. There's so many ways. Like now, I know I'm reaching out to you, you know, online, which is just amazing. Just technology and things like WhatsApp and Skype and Zoom meetings. Wow, I didn't even know what Zoom was before this all happened. And you know, and just kind of, and even writing a letter. I mean, wow. I can imagine young ones watching this going, what's that? But you know, and that connecting, like going outside, you know, and clapping, you know, acknowledging that we're not on our own, and giving gratitude towards the NHS. I mean, what a wonderful thing to do, you know, have us all come together at the same time and clap at the same time. It just lets you know that we're not on our own, because we're not, you know. And then that gives us that sense of community, folks. And also, you know, when we think about community and contribution, you know, you might be one of those people who has decided to volunteer for the NHS, which is amazing, or you might decide to help your own health system in your own country. That can be fabulous, you know, and it can really make you feel like you're making a difference, because of course you are. But even at an individual level, folks, never underestimate the difference that you can make as an individual. Please never underestimate that. I had somebody make me a Guinness cake. How cool is that? Absolutely gorgeous. And what I decided to do was I decided to give some slices of the cake to my neighbours. And they were just so grateful, beautiful cake. Now, the only downside is that I am aware that some of my neighbours could be watching this thinking, we never fucking got a slice. So I'm sorry, because there was obviously only so much cake to go around. And besides, I do have to feed my food baby, as I like to call it. Okay, folks, so, you know, it's those acts of kindness, folks, just... they make such a difference to so many people, and they really do. And it's offering that comfort, you know. And when you think about comfort, think about the sort of things that comfort you, folks. Like, is it spending time with your pet? I know I absolutely love being with Holly Cat. She just really soothes me. Is it going for a bath? Is it smells like lavender? Just thinking about that, what comforts you, folks. And then thinking about kind of what distracts you, and a bit of escapism actually, because, you know, this situation is happening at the moment, and sometimes we do need to actually have a bit of escapism from this, as you can imagine. And it's just, and that might be watching Netflix, that might be having some hobbies or interests, you know, it might be colouring, it might be gardening, you know, if you've got a nice garden. And it's just noticing what you do, again from a scaling of 1 to 10 when you're doing an activity. Oh, has it helped you to kind of just relax, take your mind off it for a while? Because absolutely we need that, folks. You know, that might be drawing or exercise, cooking, whatever it is, folks. Well, drinking, whatever it is that works for you. Sleep is obviously so important. I mean, obviously I'm no sleep expert, you know, but when we think of mental well-being, it's the whole package here, folks. There's so many different aspects that affect our mental health. So with sleep, I would encourage a routine, going back to that schedule of the day, that routine, is to give yourself long enough to be awake during the day that when you go to bed, you are actually tired. And setting up that regular sleep patterns if you can. So if you can, just kind of wear yourself out throughout the day. Do activity, as much activity as you can. So when you do go to bed, you're genuinely tired and you will sleep. And of course support. Support is so important, you know, like I mentioned about connecting and support from your friends. You know, it really is a case of, you know, a problem shared is a problem halved. It really is, folks, you know, that it is so important to talk. But obviously, as we said, to get that balance, that we're not constantly talking about this current situation, because then it can have the opposite effect. It can become too overwhelming, anxiety can get out of hand, and sometimes for some people they go into what's known as psychotic breaks or panic attacks, because your body actually says, this is too much, I'm shutting down, because your body's actually very clever. So, you know, it's just really noticing. This is the difference between escalating and de-escalating. This is really getting to know you and noticing about, you know, those signals when you're becoming more anxious, and actually how you can nip that in the bud earlier on before it gets too much out of hand. So again, that support with friends, you know, and not just, you know, support with friends, but spiritual support as well, you know, depending on your beliefs and what's important to you. All that support is wonderful, folks, wonderful. But communication is really important, and communication with compassion at this moment of time, having patience, having understanding, recognising that, again, it's okay not to be okay. And that, you know, and we're learning as we go along. How do we know how to deal with this situation? Because we've never been in this situation before. So it's that understanding, you know, and having things like, you know, where there's open communication, where you can talk about things, you know, when you're in a calm, rational space, and work out, okay, how can we manage this? How can we manage that? You know, and actually, folks, you know, at the end of the day, it's very rare, you know, when somebody will look back in their life and think, do you know what, I wish I'd done more work. You know, that it's very rare somebody look back in their life and think, do you know what, I wish I'd worked harder. Actually, you know, a lot of times when people have regrets later on in life, the regrets are about, I wish I'd spent more time with my family. And you know, folks, this, you know, as weird as it may sound, this may be an absolutely fantastic opportunity to spend some quality time with your family. And it may mean learning, again, communication with compassion, and how can we do things differently, and looking out for each other, and have a win-win situation for all of us. And you know, folks, if you find actually, I don't have the skills to do this, well then speak to somebody, speak to a professional like myself who has skills in family therapy training, you know, that relate, or you know, people who are working online and that are still working voluntary or privately. Ask for help, folks, you know, that, do you know what I mean? Like, that's we're all different in what we're good at, what we're not so good at, you know, and we're here to help each other, you know. The other thing that we can do in looking after ourselves and looking after our own mind is gratitude, folks. So for myself, I have a gratitude journal where I write down the things I'm grateful for. And the beauty about this, especially during this time, is that it really helps me to focus on kind of what I already have and what I'm grateful for. So the garden, you know, obviously my partner, you know, my loved ones, this technology, I'm so grateful for this technology, without a doubt, you know, Hollycat, you know, and even, you know, wow, like water, electricity, you know, have just, wow, being able to communicate. When you actually start thinking about gratitude, there is actually so much to be grateful for, and it just kind of sets you up. It gives you a different mindset for the start of your day. Now, there's something that I do want to mention with gratitude, and unfortunately it's something, it's a common mistake that I see people make, that there is such a difference between gratitude and depression. And let me explain. So for example, I sometimes see people that when they're with somebody who's in a depression, this has happened to me, and they say, oh, go on now, think of all the things you've got to be grateful for. Actually, I know you don't realise it, but that can actually make a person feel worse. Now, look, this is a general show, so it might be a case that some people might find it that's helpful. I'm only speaking from my own experiences as a counsellor and going through depression myself. Because what happens is that if you've never experienced depression, part of when you're in a depression, you feel completely worthless. You know, it's an absolutely horrible feeling. And what happens is that when someone says, but think of everything to be grateful for, you feel worse, because what can happen is you think, wow, not only am I struggling to just manage to get through the day, but I'm such a bad person because I'm so ungrateful. I can't even be grateful for what I have, you know. Do you see what I mean? Because when you're in depression, you're not thinking straight. Everything's negative, you know, the worthlessness, all of this sort of thing, you know, your self-esteem, completely rock bottom. So when somebody says that, they mean well, but sometimes it can have the opposite effect. So folks, you know, I just really want to, I suppose, highlight that, because I've come across that so much, what people mean well, and this is about mental health education here, folks. So if you're in a depression, you know, don't worry about the whole gratitude thing, you know, and please don't be encouraging that for somebody who's in a depression. If you're in a depression, that's a whole nother ball game, and you just have to be gentle and kind with yourself, and just, you know, look after yourself as best as you can, and know that that will pass, you know. Okay. You know, and that leads me on lovely, you know, about personal development. This can be a fantastic time for personal development. I am such a believer in that, because I had to go through that myself. Like when I was in counselling in my mid-20s, and when I was really struggling the most with my own mental health, with depression, that it was only by going to a counsellor that I realised that I needed to have a good relationship with myself first, you know. And that is so important. And I know it might sound a bit cheesy, but it reminds me of the thing that, you know, that you really do need to love yourself first. And in a way, it is about modelling those behaviours. So even now, when you're together with family and stuff like that, think about how you treat yourself, folks. and you can use this time to really to become your own best friend and to work on yourself, personal development. And of course I'm going to mention my book, folks. So in my book, The Power of Knowing You, that I have done exercises, the same sort of questions I would ask as if we were in the counselling room together, that really helps you to uncover your beliefs, your behaviours, and to uncover stuff that might be unhelpful, you know, towards you, that might be serving you well, and then helping you to think of how might you do things differently, how might you change the sort of things you say to yourself, a bit like the Manage Your Thoughts Daily Tracker. And what I did, folks, is I read my book over the weekend just to see if it was relevant to the current situation, and it absolutely is. Certainly if you want to do personal development on yourself, certainly if you want to understand depression and have been through similar experiences like myself. And you know, like we'll say you've got a Manage Your Thoughts Daily Tracker there in the book, you've got a Manage Your Thoughts chapter which goes into a lot more in depth in this. And you also have chapters on offloading emotions, which is going to be so important. So different ways to offload emotions so they don't build up, and coping mechanisms as well, folks. I mean, I know for a lot of you that have been to my theatre show, that a lot of you probably already have my book. So it might be a case that you haven't had the time to do the exercise in it. So I would really encourage you to give those a go. And folks, you can get my book Amazon, or if you want a signed copy, just please get in contact with me directly and we'll sort something out where I can sign a copy and send it to you. You may need to sanitize it down, because like so many other people, do I have the symptoms of coronavirus? I don't know. I don't think so. But who knows, because it seems to be in different disguises, different symptoms. Folks, again, you know, the physical exercise is so important. So you know, so getting as much activity as you can, you know, going out for that one walk a day if you can, and if that feels right for you. If not, absolutely don't do that. So just about doing what feels right for you. And again, just kind of researching about physical exercise. The internet is fantastic for stuff like that. Okay, folks, so I'm going to now do some lovely guided relaxation with you. And I'm just going to do about like 3 to 5 minutes of just pure relaxation. And I'm hoping that Joe from Lumina Studios, who's going to edit all this and put all this together, that I hope that she's going to show a screen where it's maybe waves or relaxation, whatever that might look like. And then I'm going to encourage you now to listen to my voice, and just encourage you now just to take 3 to 5 minutes out from your day. So folks, the first thing I'm going to do is encourage you to get nice and comfy. So to sit down on your chair or to lie down, maybe in your bedroom, wherever you want, folks. So I'm going to encourage you just to take some time out to make some space for you. Okay, so get yourself nice and comfortable. And first of all, just become aware of the chair beneath your body or the ground beneath your feet. Just become aware of where you are. And I invite you to slow down your breathing. Take some lovely deep breaths. In through your nose or in through your mouth, whichever feels right for you. Breathe deeply, breathe right down into your lower tummy. As you breathe in, imagine yourself breathing in lovely, relaxing, calm air. As you breathe out, imagine yourself just breathing away any worries, any tension. Just allow them to go. If any thoughts come into your mind, that's absolutely fine. You can imagine your mind is like a blue sky, and your thoughts are simply clouds passing through. So again, imagine your mind as a blue sky, and your thoughts are simply clouds passing through. If you haven't done so already and you're comfortable to do so, then I encourage you to close your eyes. Again, breathe deeply. Allow your body to let go. Allow your body to really sink into that chair or onto the ground, or on the ground, on the bed, wherever you are. Again, slow down your breathing. And now I invite you to imagine that above your head is a jug of pure white light, cleansing, beautiful light. I invite you to imagine that there's an opening at the top of your head, and this jug of pure white light is being gently poured into the top of your head. And imagine it as this beautiful white light is going down your forehead, your scalp. It's relaxing every single bit. Your eyes, your nose, your cheekbones, your lips, your chin, the back of your neck. Oh, just relaxing every bit of that. And now moving its way down your shoulders, your arms, your chest, your stomach, your hands, your hips. As it's working its way down, it's relaxing every single part of you. Your legs, your thighs, your knees, your calf muscles, your ankles, right down to the tips of your toes. Imagine that this beautiful white light has just cleansed away any tension, any worry, just allowing you to relax. Being really proud of the fact that you have taken this time out. And you know, folks, if you're finding this difficult to switch off, just being proud of yourself for giving this a go. And just knowing that the more that you practice this, the better you get at allowing your body and your mind to just relax. Again, breathe deeply. And even though I'm going to count back from 5 back to 1, you can continue to feel relaxed for the rest of the day by focusing on your breathing, slowing it down. 5. Again, allowing yourself to be calm. 4. Knowing that you are doing your best and that is good enough. 3. Knowing that you are accepting the things that are out of your control and that you are choosing to focus on the things that you can. 2. Knowing that you are not on your own and that we are all in this together. 1. So when you're ready, just to gently kind of move your feet a little bit and your hands a little bit. You might want to stretch a little bit. When you're ready, just to gently open your eyes. And again, knowing that any time you want to do this, you can just have a listen to this. Allow your body, your mind to relax. And well done for taking this time for you. Know that the more you look after you, the more it will benefit you and everyone else around you. Know how important you are. Yeah. Okay, folks, just letting you know that as regards guided relaxation, I am planning to do a much longer one, which I will be pushing on my website. I've been asked to do that for years, so ironically I think this is going to be an ideal time, you know, for me to do that, folks. So that'll be up on my website when I have that done. So folks, you know, again, there's so many ways we can look after ourselves, and I'm just sharing with you some of the ways that I know, so please feel free to add your comments and different ways that help you. You know, what I would say, folks, is that, you know, that if you found this helpful, please share this. If you're in a position and you want to, then you can donate towards the production of more online shows, which is more what I want to do. So if you're in a position to donate, there'll be a donate button. That'll be fantastic. Look, if you're not, absolutely no worries, because I know that for some people the financial situation is a big concern for you at the moment. So listen, no worries at all. So yeah, and again, just keeping that humour, you know, like, and just keeping that fun element, you know. And I love the jokes that are coming in. Like one of the jokes saying, you know, my teacher always said that I wouldn't amount to anything. Well, here I am, staying indoors and saving lives. So, you know, folks, that it's been able to keep that sense of humour, because that is so important at this time. So to conclude this, folks, I would say, you know, that remember, like the stages of grief, that we will go through different processes, and it depends on one day to the next, and that's all we can take it, is one day at a time. And of course, remember, folks, that it really is okay not to be okay. It really is, you know. And you know, again, so please share, keep sharing all your other helpful stuff, folks. It's fantastic. I mean, for me personally, you know, if I can support any of you online, you know, offering some counselling, I can do that. And the same way, offering counselling support to employees that are maybe working from home, bringing it together as a group, now that I know how to work Zoom. And at least I think I do. But you know, we're all learning as we go along. Okay, folks, we've almost come towards the end, and there's one more thing that I want to do. Okay, so there's one more thing that I'm going to ask of you, folks, and I'm going to ask you now to get a pillow or a cushion. Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm asking you to do now, folks, is to just go and get yourself a pillow or a cushion if you've got one available. Okay, so I've got one here. This is my lovely hard cushion, okay? And folks, what I'm going to encourage you to do now is I want you to put your hands, your arms around your pillow or your cushion, okay? Okay, and I want you to give it a gentle squeeze. And I'm doing exactly the same thing, folks, because I'm giving you a big hug. I'm going to invite you to take this hug, okay? Come on, let's do this. Okay, and if you want to do this with your loved ones, just invite them to do the same thing. Invite them to get a cushion or a pillow, and just to wrap their arms around it the same way that they would with you, the same way you want to do for them, and give them a big hug. Folks, I'm a firm believer in positive energy, and even though I might not be seeing you in person, I see you, and I just think that this positive energy that is, when you send that out there, I hope you feel that. I hope you feel that, folks, because I know when I do this, you know, that I certainly feel it back when other people do the same for me. So let's give each other and ourselves a big hug, folks, and let's just remember that we're not on our own, and that we are in this together. Thank you so much for listening, folks. I really hope you found this helpful. And, you know, I'd love your comments and your feedback. And, yeah, okay. Mwah. Folks, there's a weird irony here that my next mental health theatre show was actually on anxiety. So my next mental health theatre show was meant to be at the Litchfield Garrick Theatre on the 25th of April. And obviously that has been postponed. But it has been postponed to Saturday, the 10th of October, which is actually World Mental Health Day. So again, you know, it'll be a time we can come together in person, woo, and you know, talk through what we've been through, you know, the coping mechanisms, and looking at anxiety and all the stuff that we've learned, because I'm guessing we're going to learn a lot actually during this time. And that was another reason why I wanted to produce the online show on anxiety, was I kind of felt people need this now. So I wanted to do that and just tailor it towards the current situation, obviously about coronavirus. So folks, obviously for the show at the Garrick, in October there'll be plenty of learning and laughter and coping mechanisms, to help us, to continue to get through anxieties together. Thank you folks for your support. I'm obviously disappointed I can't get to do the theatre show, in person. But it's just kind of where we're all at really, that we've had a lot of stuff happen that unfortunately we can't do at the moment. But again, it's about looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is staying indoor, is saving lives and protecting our vulnerable people, which is absolutely priority. And besides, we get to do this again, folks, that hopefully not go through the pandemic again. But we get to do the mental health theatre show again, and it's just been wonderful to see so many of you in person. I'd absolutely love that, because I love performing and being on stage and delivering all this mental health education. Can you tell? So yeah, folks, so that's just letting you know kind of what's happening there. So in the meantime, folks, please stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, it's okay not to be okay.